More than a third of all the incidents that we respond to are social work rather than police work.
Moat had installed CCTV at his house, and it appears that he had installed that to keep an eye on the police and gather evidence of police harassment.
In his mind, he was certainly being victimised. I don't think it was an official police policy to victimise, but I think that he probably did have some grievances which might have been genuine.
Saw himself as being persecuted by the social services. He recorded hours of conversations with officials which he believed highlighted how they were trying to destroy his life.
We'll get a hands on these areas, you know, and work with us. This is one of the things I'm suggesting, you know, and to me that would be the most, you know, spend some money on trying to get this family back together instead of splitting it up, you know. If I'm fault myself in any way, I'm open to all kinds of suggestions, but I refuse to spend the rest of my time fighting with social services. There's cameras everywhere. To be honest with you, it was to do with use. I was getting accused of a lot of things, and I ended up with about 8 cameras on the property, hidden in hedges and everything, to make sure I could pinpoint where I was in any particular time. I wasn't there for any other reason other than that.
The father was recording evidence, clearly for legal intentions. The police and social services strategy to incite violence drove him from legal intention to committing multiple planned murders. At the same time this father was recording social services, almost 200 miles away in another city, I was also recording social workers. But unlike this father, I refused to be lured into attacking the mother of my children. When the employees realised this, they switched the roles and incited the mother to attack me. The incitement in these cases results in multiple planned murders.
With a third shot, killed Christopher Brown. But the shooting wasn't over. It had a clear view of Samantha in the well-lit living room.
After orchestrating these murders, they are then relabelled domestic-related murder. The officer confirms how they are handled.
It was a relatively straightforward investigation, and a lot of police forces deal with that sort of thing week in, week out.
It's unknown just how many cases in which police and social service employees are inciting violence between parents that result in multiple planned murders week in, week out. The reason the public do not get to hear about these crimes is because childcare laws are used in what the press refer to as the secret courts to prevent the victims and the press publicising these state-sponsored child abuse and murder crimes. These are the key stages they use to incite violence and murder. Establish control over mother using threats children taken from her. Then force mother to eject father from home and children's lives. Mother instructed to obtain order prohibiting father contact. If father challenges order, dishonest claims lodged by police and social workers ensure he fails application. If the father breaches the order, he is immediately imprisoned. Whilst in prison, social workers instruct the mother to enter into a new relationship. No mediation is offered. In the earlier recording, the father said,
I refuse to spend the rest of my time fighting with social services.
The following recording made by the father indicates that the strategy by the police and social workers to incite violence is on its way to achieving its objective.
I've had enough of the way you are going on. I've had enough, right? She is an absolute liar. I can prove it, right? At no point have I raised my voice or intimidated her or mentioned where she lives or mentioned about how much money she gets, and I can prove this 100%. It's not a fuzzy recording, it's absolute crystal clarity.
A key stage of the incitement is to imprison the father. Shortly after this recording, he was imprisoned.
They've told me he wasn't getting his kids back, and his kids mean everything to him, and then they've told me they were taking his house away, so he didn't have a home, he's lost his business, and then he was being locked up.
The same strategy was used in their attempts to incite me to attack the mother of my children. Once imprisoned, the employees place it firmly in the mother's mind that her children will be put up for adoption if she doesn't start a new relationship to keep the children's father away when released. In the full knowledge this has a potential for conflict.
I think in Sam's mind, she wanted a complete severance of the relationship, and him being in prison gave her that opportunity.
Desperate to prevent police and social services taking her children for adoption, the mothers do as instructed and start a new relationship. But some mothers choose a partner they believe will deter the children's father from contacting them. In this case, the mother possibly believed the boyfriend employed by the police service would help keep the father away. In my case, the mother chose an 18-stone steroid abuser, recently released from prison.
Then Samantha Stobbart, his partner of 6 years and mother of one of his children, broke up with him while he was behind bars. But crucially, in a move that sent her ex ballistic, Samantha told the imprisoned boyfriend was also a police officer. On the day he came out, wrote on his Facebook page, "I've lost everything. I'm not 21 and I can't rebuild my life. Watch and see what happens." With a third shot, Raoul Moat killed Christopher Brown. But the shooting wasn't over. Moat had a clear view of Samantha in the well-lit living room.
Identifying police and social workers responsible for destroying his children and family life, but unable to locate the individuals responsible, the father attacked the first police officer he seen. The officer was an innocent victim unrelated to the case. Was it not for the father attacking a police officer, the shooting of his partner and her boyfriend would have been contained to the local press and disguised as a domestic-related murder.
It was payback time for all those he thought had ever wronged him. So Raoul Moat had his first police officer in his sights.
The amount of blood I was losing.
Doctor. So the fact of the matter is, right, that she's having an affair with one of your officers. Was he not a police officer, I wouldn't have shot him. You'll get your chance to kill us, right? You'll get your chance to kill us.
No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that.
You do want me to kill myself, but I'm going to give you a chance, because I am hunting for officers now. I've just found your officer at the roundabout in the west end of Newcastle.
Yes?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to destroy a few lives like you've destroyed mine. This is what happens when you push and push.
We're kind of hands on these areas, you know, and work with us. This is one of the things I'm suggesting, you know, and to me that would be the most, you know, spend some money in trying to get this family back together instead of splitting it up, you know. If I'm fault myself in any way, I'm open to all kinds of suggestions, but I used to spend the rest of my time fighting with social services.
Friends and family of Moat offered themselves as potential go-betweens.
I thought that if there was any chance of him putting that gun down, I thought maybe somebody who cared about Raoul, rather than just the police force, might have had a better chance of getting him to do that. I didn't want him to die. That was the last thing on earth I wanted. You know, there'd been enough bloodshed already.
There was a number of people, be the associates, be the family, be the friends, every one of them was considered and risk assessed, and the decision was made that it wasn't appropriate, it was too dangerous. Any one of them could have given him his opportunity to effectively cleanse his conscience and then take his own life. So it had to be very, very carefully managed.
Father of two, Christopher Brown, wasn't and never had been a police officer.
We were at a birthday party for one of the neighbours' children, and the police car pulled up and we were all laughing out the front and saying, "Oh, someone's in trouble again." And they walked over to us and just came in and he told me what happened. It was horrific. It's one of your worst nightmares. You don't ever think that you're going to have children and they're going to die. It's bad enough, God forbid they die of illness, but to die the way he died, it's horrendous.
In the public arena to date, there hasn't been a great amount of information available, because obviously these cases are held in private and have been held in private for good reasons. But of course, there is a difference between privacy and secrecy.
It has certainly struck me that one of the things to emerge from the discussion over the last few weeks is actually the dearth of information about what actually does happen in those courts. Not through any willful ignorance, but rather the nature of the proceedings is such that nobody can know what goes on except the participants and the small little cohort of lawyers and social workers who are in each individual case. There is no possibility of seeing any kind of national patterns. There is no possibility of seeing whether there is a variation in different parts of the country about what happens.
It's one of your worst nightmares. And you don't ever think that you're going to have children and they're going to die.